How to minimize taxes for small business. So I love small, medium-sized businesses. I love businesses, totally. And you have 81,000 pages of tax code. So if you're not using them, you're overpaying taxes and you can't minimize the tax burden of your company. So get a pen and paper. It's critical that you start this from the beginning right down to where you pay bills in your bank account. So what I want to talk about is corporate life versus employee life. I explained the lifestyle differences. Most of us all around the world have been taught how to be an employee and how to live a great employee lifestyle, not a corporate lifestyle under corporate banners. Number two, I'm going to talk about the 81,000 pages of tax code and why it's the only way that you can actually live. And like when your kids are born, they should be employed, get a Roth IRA. There's a whole plan, strategic plan on how I put this whole thing together. And it's just living corporate life. It's not advice. They make money, they keep money, they invest it, they use a team. Third thing I want to talk about is how do you maximize all these deductions? And any of you who choose to be a client and lean in farther, you can go to askloral.com, ask to talk to one of our team members. You get a free 3-year tax return review. Our average client gets $30,000 to $40,000 back in overpaid taxes because you didn't use the code. I love the IRS. They have 81,000 pages of tax code. Use it. So what I want to do to explain corporate and employee lifestyle is I want you to listen in. I do a workshop every 3 weeks called the Millionaire Intensive, and it's a marketplace. So from 10 to 12 Pacific time, I teach the millionaire concept and the sequence of it. Then we teach you millionaire marketing. Then we teach you some sales structure where you can make money, and then we put you in a marketplace to make money. So what better way to spend 8 hours in learning how to make money that fast? And the system, literally in a 5-minute conversation, you're going to learn to make money. So let's listen into me teaching it versus just repeat it here, because I get really excited when I teach it. So let's listen into this video on the Millionaire Intensive. So if you notice, it's an infinity loop, because from the minute you walk on the planet to the minute you walk off, you're going to need to be making money somehow, whether it's a job and entrepreneurial venture. Notice I say and. You have to keep it. And that's, a lot of where Scott and I live, in the entity and trust world, qualified plans. That's where your tax planning, your estate planning, that all work. How much can you gift? When do you start gifting? All of those things get decided. You decide and we educate you. Then you, instead of parking your money with a financial planner, praying to God it's going to work out, have got to start doing some in the alternatives. It's not to say there's not a place for financial planners. So if you're out there and you're listening, not saying you're not on the team, but you are not the only one on the team in the investing category. And then again, a very alternative team that actually is going to listen to you. See, right now, most of you, what we know about this space is just money. Is you're not taught properly. You're taught usually by your family or some way organically. Very few are formally or properly trained in all of it. And then what happens is you're trying to couple together a team and you don't know how to lead. So what you do is you abdicate. You just hand your money to a CPA or an H&R Block and say, handle it. Like it's done. They're not doing enough. You hand your money to financial planner and you just like, oh, I'm just going to go make money and that's all I have to deal with. No, you have to deal with all 4 of these categories. And that's really what creates a millionaire. Now let's go to the real guts of what we do. We don't have a program, we have a lifestyle. All right. So this lifestyle is employee life versus corporate life. So I've made those terms up just as a way of helping you see how it works. So go ahead and put up all the employee life. This is what we're taught. This is the sheepology of the whole thing. Here's the most disgusting statistic. If you make 80,000 or more, especially if you're an employee, you're in the top 25% of income earners. Here's the worst statistic. At 100,000, if you make more than 100, you're in the top 3%. That's how bad these statistics are. You're in the 3%er if you make 100. And how many of you out there make over 100 right now, whether you're an entrepreneur or employee? Just put yeah, yes, if you're already over 100. And I can promise you, you probably don't feel like you're in a top 3%er. All right. So Wendy, Savannah, everybody, there's quite a few of you. You're making over 100. And I'm sure you do not feel like, oh my gosh, look at this. I am like top 3%. The problem is if employee money, and in America, we call it W-2, T4 in Canada, if your job is the only money you're making, and that's kind of what a lot of you have been taught. If you need money, get a job. If you need more money, get another job, versus get contracts, get clients. Become an entrepreneur. Do what you're doing, but do it under a company banner and not a sole proprietor. Notice there's no space on this page. You won't see sole proprietor anywhere. And so once you become an income earner, you're going to get taxed. You have a 401k, interesting vehicle, hand the money back to the same people who got you your paycheck. It's a little limited in your lack of diversity. Then they offer you usually term insurance, which is death insurance. They give you a vacation, 2 to 4 weeks, depending on how good you are. That's a horrible system. Do whatever you want to do when you want to do it. Debt and credit cards, most of you think are, I don't know how many people say, I'll come work and learn corporate life after I'm out of debt. No, you're not going to get out of debt. I'm probably going to get you into more debt. When the EIDLs were on, I know Eileen's out there, a lot of our community, we got EIDL money. It's 3%, 3.3%. It's cheap money. It's the cheapest money you're going to find in this economy, these interest rates, this inflation, this recession. Retirement, it's an agricultural word. It's not even a financial word. It's a really stupid word. It means to put cattle to pasture to die. You're not a cow. You're not going to die. And guess what? Employees pay taxes by April 15th. That's not when we pay. Wealthy people do not pay tax on that day. So here's what we're going to teach you. This is corporate life. And if you're serious about learning it, again, my YouTube channel is probably where you're going to get the most diverse information, about 10 minutes a day. Have your kids start watching it, your family watch it, your spouses watch it, your environment watch it, and start talking about what are you learning? What do you understand about debt? What do you understand? Right? Terry says, that scares my wife to death. It scares her to death because she doesn't know anything. And I'm going to say it straight to her. You need to get the replay, have her listen to it. She doesn't understand it. Here's what debt is. Debt is the cost of money. That's it. So EIDL money, during COVID, my gosh, a lot of you could get home mortgages, 30-year fixed for 2%. That's cheap money. Hard money lenders, which I am, I make anywhere between 10 lowest, 12, 15% and some points. So I'm paid interest, right? So someone's going to borrow money from me. That's their debt. And I get paid a lot of money to do it. And it's secured by an asset. I love debt. And the more debt you have, the better you're going to be. So some of you have got to retrain your spouses who are freaking out because they don't know. So what they do when they don't know is nothing. So first of all, I want you to write this down. Companies make money. Individuals get taxed, right? So companies mean in America, you'd be an S Corp, C Corp, LLC, limited partnership, or trust. Scott's going to talk more in detail about which one he's going to help you get. And then he and I own the trust company, and you all need a trust, or 50% of your life's going to your state, wherever you live, and that's province in Canada. That is anywhere in the world. If you die without a trust on top of what you own, your government, I don't care where you are in the world, is going to take 40 to 50%. Like if you would ever, any of you, send Loral Langemeier a check, I would send it back to you and say, this company, LLC or C Corp, you pay the company, you don't pay me. I have no legal reason to make money. My companies all have legal reasons to make money. So the company makes money. Now they get to do 81,000 pages of tax deductions. And then your company can have a solo 401k that you control versus a company you work for has a 401k that you don't control. So then because they're employed, you get a Roth IRA. So you can imagine, and I talk about it in this book, is if all you did from 0 to 20 is fund your children's Roth, that's $6,000 a year. That's $120,000 compounded power. You are going to be north of $500,000, of which they cannot have until they're in their late 50s, early 60s. Just one move can make your kids millionaires. A lot of you just aren't moving properly. And if you don't have life insurance, you won't have any cash value. You won't have any strategy. There's huge liability protection in what Jason does with the insurance. You'll never go on a vacation. You're only going on business trips. Only. My kids have never been on a vacation in their life. That'll be part of the Langemeier legacy, is if you ever go on a vacation, you better be figuring out how to pay for it on your own, because the estate's not paying for a vacation on anyone. Debt and credit cards are critical. We don't retire. We have Freedom Day. Now here's the big one. And then Scott, I'll have you jump in and share. Companies file taxes in September. You, as a company owner, files taxes in October. You never file in April again. So you will slowly be introduced to our team. So the way it works is through our strategist, you can meet with Jason and Scott, Randy, and the team. You don't get to any of them. So don't go to private, try to message them and say, hey, can I talk to you privately? No, we are very sequenced. You start with our office, you start with the strategist. Your strategist will determine, usually then you come to me or Damon. Damon runs our programs. Then you might get to the strategy team, depending on how you've signed into the organization. So that's kind of how we roll. That is how we roll. And we start with an assessment, which starts with your strategist doing a gap analysis. Where are you? What'd you do to yourself? What do you want? How do we begin? What's the best place for you to begin? And for some of you, if all you need to do is make money, then do our 100K challenge. Just do an income program. Just go make a bunch of money. That's it. Just make some money. So what do you think? I mean, I don't think there's even a decision. You're going to learn to live corporate life if you want to be a millionaire. It's just how it works. Companies make money, individuals get taxed, like I said in the video. So our goal is to give you some tickets to the Millionaire Intensive. We do it every 3 weeks. Make sure you come, your spouse comes, your kids come. Again, subscribe to this channel. Click the notification button. Every day, I have a new topic. If it's not here, go to the comment section and say, hey, will you do a video for me about this? I just did one on short-term rentals, so go check that out. Somebody requested that. How do you arbitrage Airbnb? Check that one out. Tons and tons are in my search bar, so go, look for what you want. If it's not there, I'll make you a video next time. But let me teach you to live corporate life. You will never go back. And when your kids grow up in the corporate lifestyle, your kids get credit cards earlier than normal because you're teaching them right behaviors around credit use, how to grow their wealth, how to have a Roth IRA, how to own their own businesses. I'm not my kids' bank. If they need money, they know how to make it. They have tutoring companies. They have all sorts of side hustles that they learned growing up since they were 4 years old. If you haven't got the book, make sure you get this. It's got checklists from 0 to 20, exactly what Kyle and I did with our kids that you could be doing. And if you're older, 30, 40, go back and look at them and say, how do I do a quick catch-up plan? How do I catch up on the things that I didn't put into my life? And how do I live corporate life? So if you want to know more, go to AskLoral.com, ask to talk to one of our teammates, love to teach you. It is totally the thing I love most is getting you and your family living corporate life, doing the deductions so your companies can actually maximize the tax savings and minimize the tax paid. So let us help you get this right. The formula is not difficult, it is just different.